Subscribe to Chug Chow wherever you get your podcasts or visit chugandchow.com.
My friends, fellow wanderers, lovers of food with a story, welcome to Chug Chow. This is where we ditch the pop-up ads and we follow the scent of something sizzling off the beaten path. I'm Todd Newton. Yes, some call me that stubborn soul who wrote that whole book chasing down America's hidden watering holes and quirky kitchens. Chug Chow, the Tattooed Traveler's 50 favorite dive bars and food joints across America. It is available on Amazon and at chugandchow.com. And remember, for every copy of the book sold, we are very proud to provide 10 meals to a family experiencing food insecurity. You know, we decided when writing that book that the only thing better than writing about them was bringing you there, one episode of this podcast at a time. And today, we're going to start our journey with the sun rising over the turquoise waters of Key Largo, Florida. This is Mrs. Mac's Kitchen. Now, picture it if you can, all right? You're driving south, palm fronds flicking past your window, the ocean keeping pace just beyond your right shoulder there. You've escaped the mainland. You can feel it in your chest. Key Largo isn't a loud arrival. It's more of a gentle whisper that says, hey, slow down, you're here. But here's what most people don't know about this first of the Keys. Beneath the tropical postcards and the breezy boat tours, there are layers. Romantic, rebellious, wild layers. It's known to scuba divers as the diving capital of the world, not just for its clear waters, but for John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park, the first underwater park in America. Coral cities teeming with angelfish, a glass-bottom boat gliding like a ghost above the living reef. And then there's the name Key Largo. The world knows it from that smoky black and white Humphrey Bogart film from the 1940s. But here's the twist. Not a single frame of that movie was filmed here. The name, that came later, adopted like a stage name, worn with pride. Hidden in the mangroves, you might find creatures almost as rare as the island's history. The endangered Key Largo wood rat, found nowhere else in the world. Or maybe you'll spot a manatee. Big, gentle, as if it's been moving at island speed long before you and I arrived. And if the salt air feels charged, well, maybe you're catching the ghosts of its prohibition days, when rum runners tucked into shadowy corners to swap bottles and secrets. The stories from that time, they're still on the walls here, in faded photos and dented relics. Which brings us, finally, to one of the island's most beloved stories. Just off the main road, in a place where neon meets nostalgia, sits Mrs. Mac's Kitchen. Stepping inside Mrs. Mac's Kitchen is like flipping a switch from just passing through to local for a day. That familiar wooden sign on the overseas highway is less a beacon for tourists and more a promise to regulars that, hey, the coffee's still fresh. The door thumps shut behind you, and suddenly you're surrounded by a mosaic of story. Hundreds, probably thousands of license plates quilt the walls, each one collected with a tale and a chuckle, the kind you'd hear from a fisherman who's seen a storm or two. Some are scuffed, bent at the corners, faded by decades of sun and laughter. You spot plates from far-off states, each hinting at someone who stopped here once and wanted to leave their mark. The air inside is alive with the scent of freshly baked key lime pie, tart, sweet, and somehow sunny. There's a low hum of conversations, locals trading fishing stories over mugs of dark roast, a pair of sunburned travelers over here negotiating whether to get the conch chowder or just split a sandwich because everything smells too good to choose. The kitchen window clatters open with plates piled high, golden hogfish, crisp fries, a bowl of chowder that sends steam curling up into your nose. There's country music floating gently from a battered radio. It's mingling with the laughter of waitresses who have been there a while. They greet you like an old friend, even if it's your first visit. There's an ever-present layer of nostalgia here, vintage signs. Some a little cheeky, some a little wise, reminding you that rules are meant to be bent, at least when it comes to eating well and feeling welcome. The floor here creaks in all the right places. Even the AC has a gentle rumble, never quite overwhelming the warmth of the room. Now, you settle into a table where countless names have been carved into the wood. The surface is slick, but it holds memories. Homecoming dances toasted in root beer, goodbyes over coffee at sunrise, reunions between friends who have drifted apart, and always, the anticipation of what's coming out of the kitchen next. Now, in a moment, we're going to be joined by Stephanie Figueroa, the owner of Mrs. Mac's Kitchen. She smiles with a kind of easy confidence that comes from knowing every secret to a perfect pie crust, every story behind the decor, every reason why strangers leave here as friends. So as the scent of lime and coconut hang in the air, listen closely because Stephanie is going to share why this cozy diner continues to be the beating heart of Key Largo and why the next great story starts just as your plate hits the table. Stephanie, when the original founder opened the place back in '76, he named it after his mother. That's always a good luck charm, I think. But for any restaurant to succeed, not to mention reach, dare I say, legendary status for 50 years, that's quite a feat.
50 years. Oh my gosh. It's crazy to think about this being here for 50 years, especially long before I owned it and took it over, just driving by it, eating here and things like that. I think both of the locations offer a little something different. The original location, which is the one that I know is close to your heart, that's the one that has been here since 1976. And I just think when you're down here and you really want that vibe and that little hole in the wall place with the decoration and the little tchotchkes everywhere and all of the license plates on the wall and the customers that come here year after year after year. And I just had a review actually 2 days ago that said, this is my first stop. I just got to Key Largo and this is always my first stop. So I think it's just the vibe and seeing the same faces, the same servers that have been here. Miss Debbie, which is our hostess, out front, everybody knows her. It's what you want to feel when you come down here.
Well, I think you nailed it with the vibe of the place. I mean, that's the core ingredient here. And like what has happened to so many of us, the Keys just became a part of your heart and your soul. And about a decade ago, you said, I'm never leaving here. I'm going to make the Florida Keys my permanent home.
Absolutely. This place just has something different. It's a little slice of paradise that is so close to the mainland that for so many years when I lived in Naples and lived in Miami before, I never really came down here. But I think once you get a little literal taste of the Keys, be it the vibes, the water, the boat, the food, the people, the feeling, it's in you. You just cannot. You can't get it out of you. You just can't. And it's so laid back. It's so relaxing. And there's rarely a person that I ever invite down here to stay with me that doesn't call out the next day for work and say, I got to stay here another day. It's just, you know how it is. It's something that comes and sticks with you. And it's such a beautiful little area.
Yeah. I feel safe there. I feel protected there. I feel almost like there's a warm blanket of everything's going to be okay in the Keys. Regardless of what's going on in the world, the Florida Keys remain a constant peaceful place and laid back, as you pointed out.
I think Monroe County has really done a really good job of trying to keep it as non-commercial as far as like big restaurants, big chains and things like that. So that's really allowed all of us local restaurants here to survive and to thrive.
Yeah, and there are so many places. I'll pick on Las Vegas here for a moment. Rarely have I been to Las Vegas where I haven't at least looked into getting an earlier flight out of there and back home. Whereas the Florida Keys are the polar opposite. You always look for an excuse and a way to stay a little bit longer. And no matter, even if you've traveled all over the world, I think you'll come to a point in your life where when you visit the Keys, you'll say to yourself, everything I need is right here,
It's right here. It's so close. It's so close. And I think the draw also with Key Largo is that you don't have to go so far down into the Keys to get that feeling. I mean, we're literally 20 minutes out of Miami, and for us, that is a lot of our weekenders or people that are just coming down, driving down for the day, a quick little weekend stay where you can't, commit. But I'm with you. You don't have to fly and leave. And I mean, I love me some Bahamas and Exumas and Biminis, just an hour and a half boat ride away, but you can get so much of that right here.
Yep. Now, let's get to the food here. There is so much to choose from on this menu. I'm looking at the menu now on your website, mrsmaxkitchen.com. And Stephanie, I failed to mention, there are 2 locations. We're kind of focusing on the original location, but they're very, very close to one another. And the full menu's at Mrs. Max Kitchen. Let's start with dessert, something my mom always tried to discourage me from doing, but now that I'm grown up, I can do it all I want. Let's start with dessert. You are known for your key lime pie. It is often regaled as some of the best in the Florida Keys. A lot of people say that. You guys actually back it up. But let's not forget about the carrot cake, the peanut butter pie, which also deserves kudos.
Peanut butter pie is so good. Yeah, the key lime pie is definitely, that is our shining star for sure. I think the thing with the key lime pie I've always liked key lime pie, and I think the appeal to this key lime pie is that it's not too sweet, it's not too tangy. You don't have that like citrusy kind of thing in your mouth like after you drink a margarita. You just don't have that. It goes down so smooth. This is one of those key lime pies that if you are that person that says I don't really like key lime pie, but I love this key lime pie. Yeah. And we win best key lime pie in the Upper Keys every year for years and years and years and years and years. We're actually up for, they're doing the voting here starting in the next month. And, not to be too confident, but typically we do. I mean, there's everybody has their own version of it. Some people do the meringue, some people do it a little more tart, some people do it a little more green. It's just keep it simple and keep it consistent and don't change the recipe. That's the same with the food, same with the dessert, same with the conch soup that you were talking about. Just don't change it. I want what you had the last time you were here to be exactly the same thing that brings you back. And I want you to sit down and eat it and go, this is what I remember.
Amen. Now let's talk about the seafood. Nothing against our friends up in the Northeast. CHUG CHOW, we have a lot of buddies in Maine, all throughout New England there. Nothing against your seafood, but that blackened mahi sandwich, I hear angels sing when I sink my teeth into it. I don't think you can get better, fresher seafood than in the Florida Keys.
The Keys, we've got it covered from mahi to snapper to hogfish and grouper. Mahi, I would say, is the most reasonably priced fish, which is why you see all of us down here have always got, some version of mahi on it. And then you move up, snapper is a lot more expensive than mahi. But you've got to have it. It's what people expect. And even some of my food vendors, when mahi was getting a little crazy in pricing a couple months ago, they were like, you should bring cod and put cod on your menu. I'm like, are you out of your mind? These people would run me out of town if I put cod on the menu. I'm like, you're crazy. I'm like, if it doesn't come from that water out there, a couple blocks away, it's not going on my menu.
Whew. That's a good answer. And staying on the topic of your menu, Stephanie, you are an experienced restaurateur. You have several restaurants across the country. When you take ownership of a place like Mrs. Max, is it difficult to make the necessary adjustments? Because obviously with a place that's been around that long, there have to be some upgrades, right? Not only to the menu, but also to the physical structure. Is it difficult to make those changes while still upholding the authenticity of the place and what the locals expect from it?
I think it could be a challenge for other people. I think you and I had kind of discussed a little bit. Sometimes when people come in and buy a successful restaurant, they want to put their own spin on it and their own twist on it. I know better because of my experience with my other restaurants on the West Coast. I know since 1985, those things that are there can't be changed, should not be changed, and would create an absolute uproar if anything was changed. The key word is consistency. I had a few battles, as far as organization when I came in here with lack of recipes, but luckily I retained the staff. I was able to put those recipes together and, threaten their lives. Do not change a single solitary thing because, I want to keep it going. I'm not some culinary person. I'm the world's most boring eater. But I know that consistency is the key. You can't change it. You just can't. If you've got something that works, just don't touch it. And this is something, being here going on 50 years, it's why change it? There's no reason. It's not like there's anything faltering or anything like that. So this menu definitely did not need an overhaul. I cleaned it up, made it a little bit more organized, brought it into a more concise menu. There was a lot of repetitive things on the previous menu, but having said that, it was what people were used to. I did get pushed back because it does look like a different menu, but it's all the same. It's all the same stuff. And I think you realize once you get everything that you had before and some more things, a couple of little twists on stuff. The cool thing about this is that we're able to do specials. Some of our specials are some of the things that our staff has created that eat here all the time and are like, maybe I could put this together with that. And then I'll walk by and I'll see it and I'll go, ooh, what is that? What is that? And they'll go, oh, it's this with this. And I combine that and add a little bit of this on the top and put some of this on the side. And I'm like, okay, that needs to be a special.
And to kind of bring it all full circle, that staff that has been there for so very long, those regulars who come in every weekend, some of them who come in every morning, they're just as much a part of the fabric of Mrs. Mac's Kitchen as Mrs. Mac's Kitchen is a part to their daily routine. Wouldn't you agree with that?
For sure. These, the locals, they grown up with this restaurant. They know these servers. Their kids play baseball with these servers. They see these, servers in town at the grocery store. They live right next door. They live down the road. I hate to be repetitive, but consistency, seeing those same familiar faces, those same servers that know your name, that know your order, know exactly how you want it. Okay, you want olives, but you only want a little bit of olives, just those little tweaks and things like that. Those are things that somebody who knows you and you've been coming there and you're a regular, they've got it down and figured out, and it's consistency. And even for people who don't have the pleasure of living down here, I think they really get a kick out of, I was here last year, couldn't wait to come back this summer. And they see the same servers, the same Miss Debbie at the front door, greeting everybody as they come in. I just think it's just that vibe. It's those beautiful memories that you have of the times that you've come here and getting a little piece, because as they say, you can't go home again. But I think sometimes just having that familiarity to come back to a place that you loved, you want to repeat a vacation here, and it becomes like I'm coming here every year. To have that kind of consistency in the restaurant with your visit, I just think adds to the appeal.
Stephanie Figueroa, owner of Mrs. Mac's Kitchen, 2 locations in Key Largo, Florida, right at the top of the Florida Keys, mrsmaxkitchen.com. Stephanie, I really appreciate your time, and I'll be in there soon for that black and mahi sandwich and a slice of that pie, okay?
Wonderful. We appreciate that. Thanks so much for all the love, Todd. I looking forward to meeting you in person.
And that, my fellow traveling foodies, wraps up our visit to the sun-soaked shores of Key Largo and the heart of Mrs. Mac's kitchen. Thank you again to Stephanie Figueroa for letting us belly up to her table and for sharing 50 years of flavor, friendship, and a slice of key lime sunshine. Hey, if you ever find yourself cruising the overseas highway, do yourself a favor. Drop anchor at Mrs. Mac's kitchen. Order the chowder, the hogfish. Don't even think about skipping dessert. We can't be friends if you skip dessert there. You'll leave with more than a full belly. You'll leave with a story. Now, before you sail off into your own sunset, don't forget to subscribe to the CHUG CHOW podcast. Write us a little review. I don't want you to ever miss one of our tasty adventures. And if you want more tales like this one, grab a copy of my book, Chug and Chow. It's waiting for you on Amazon or at chugandchow.com. Until next time, keep your glass topped, your plate full, and your compass pointed toward the good stuff. I'm Todd Newton. Travel safely.
Chug Chow is produced by the host with the most LLC. All rights reserved.